Hello and welcome to episode 59 of Champion the Gamer. It is my delight to welcome Ashley Millman, someone who is a fellow faculty defender. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I love that this is the opening. Okay, excellent. Yeah, the faculty. Let's get in it straight away. But yeah, I'm good. Thank
Oh,
you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I said I was excited to mention that because one, I know you love it, and two, that remake hasn't happened yet, but it should happen, and the
Mm.
whole thing about that. We can get into that later because I'm curious. First of all, though, how are you? And then following that, we get into the origin side of things straight away. So, who are you? What do you do? And what you're doing right now?
Right. So my name is Ash Millman. I am a horror fan on the internet, basically. I mainly stream horror games at the moment, but I have been a presenter for channels like What Culture, PlayStation Access, and I kind of am just a bit of a freelance entity around and about at the moment. I do a bit of everything, voiceover acting, uh, streaming videos, turning up and playing games, also in person, things like that. But yeah, that's kind of the vibe that I have at the moment. Um, yeah, yeah.
It's funny to chat about yourself's hard, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really weird. I was trying to like lay it out the other day thinking, what do I actually do? And it's like, oh, I play a lot of games. And
Are you pleased though with what you've accomplished so far and where you're headed? Because you must be, right? You've done a lot in that what I call a short period of time.
my God, just that was a right to the brain, that one. I am never happy, I think, is the actual true answer here. I'm never happy, and I'm a very glass half empty person when it comes to my own stuff. Everything else in life, I'm like, wow, that's so much water in that glass. But if I look at me and what I've done and where I'm going, I'm like, it's not enough. You can do more, you can do better. So realistically, yeah, I feel like I've only scratched the surface of everything that I want to do and where I want to go with it. But I've also had like, a few old mental demons that I've had to choke into submission along the way as well. So
But I feel like, and again, this is from obviously from afar, but I feel like you're the sort of person that drives you more though. So I was talking to Antonia, 8-bit Benello, and she was like, "Yeah, I'm always not bored. So I'm trying to find stuff to
yeah.
fill the time." Is that same for you? Are you always not bored because you're trying to push yourself forward constantly?
My God, the real answer is like it's sometimes I'm just so stressed that I can't that I can't that I can't actually do the things that I like, and then other times there's always something to look at and go for and have an idea with. I think kind of coming to the other side of it at the moment, where being able to look at all of the horror films, all of the horror games, especially with all the new announcements recently, I feel very invigorated and full of inspiration, and that is really really nice. And I think, yeah, not being bored is definitely part of that, but also the overwhelming sea of choice sometimes is a bit of a stopper in the tracks. But also, I think with any of this, your weakness is also your strength. You know what I mean? Like being a bit neurotic with it and wanting to do the best all the time means that I'm always pushing myself and aiming for the next big thing, or thinking about what I can make and how I'm going to make it, and that definitely is a superpower at the end of the day, because it's what drives you to keep on going. You know what I mean?
I saw your tweet, but did you cry at Resi 9?
Oh my God. I was with my friend who is a gamer, but she's not like a Resident Evil person. And I was like, can we just watch 2 hours of this gaming showcase together, please? And yeah, Resident Evil, because they had all of those different drops throughout the show. I kept grabbing her leg and being like, it's gonna be Resident Evil. And she'd be like, oh, that's great. And then it got to the end, and I was like, oh well, this looks like Capcom. I mean, it kind of looks like the RE engine, but we've already had all of the different things saying that it's not coming. So, and I was proper like about it. And then you saw Raccoon City, like RPD above the doorway, and I was like, like literally claws on her thigh, and she's like, okay, please let go. But yeah, it was. Oh my God, it looks so good, does it not?
It looks insane. I mean, I haven't played Resi fully for a very long time. That's the sort of thing that would bring me back.
Yeah.
Because, like you said there, as soon as you saw the Raccoon City thing, I was like,
Mm.
yes, here we go. Because I
Yeah.
actually, in a bit of a weird segue, I really enjoyed Welcome to Raccoon City, the film. A lot of
Yes.
people would dog on that, but I love it. I think it's really old school, just popcorn movie.
Yeah.
And so that's the sort of vibe I got. Talk a bit about, because you mentioned there about showcases and stuff like that. Talk about your PlayStation Access stuff if you can and want to. Let us know what you do with those and where it all came from.
What, starting at PlayStation Access? Sorry.
Yeah, so just let people know what that is, first of all, if they don't know what it is, and then,
Yeah, sure.
where that all comes from.
So PlayStation Access is the official UK channel of PlayStation. It's got over 2 million subscribers and is basically like a powerhouse of inform, entertain, or like just be silly, basically. But it's kind of like your one-stop shop for upcoming games that are coming to PlayStation, news updates that are happening for PlayStation as a entity and a hardware. And then also it's personality led content. So live streams, video essays, podcasts. We had Tuesday checklist on a Wednesday for a long time, which is kind of like a talking heads video game opinion segment. It's very much kind of the old school YouTube channel gaming coverage, but very UK humor, very British sense of humor because it's the UK PlayStation channel. And there's I don't really have a special story for how I started there. Really, I saw that Holly Bennett had tweeted that they needed someone to come in for PlayStation Access, and thought, oh, well, I like games. I'm gonna have a look over there, and threw my application in. And it was during COVID, so it took 9 months for the whole process to actually happen. Which was absolutely fine because I was at What Culture at the time, and we started at What Culture Horror in that time, which was amazing. What Culture being another British YouTube channel that does coverage, but across all entertainment formats, and not just gaming. Um, and yeah, I felt like I needed a change, a push, something to kind of like kick me up the arse to get going to the next level of my career. And I learned a lot and had a great time with Access. It was definitely a really good call for me, the right place to go. But yeah, it's just a great little space, and all the people there are amazing. And if you watch it, good, you'll know what I'm talking about. And if you don't, absolutely give them a go because they're so fun, and all the people there are really good people.
Because I was excited when you first started that, because I thought this is going to push you, like you just said there, push you on even further. Because you got this personality that kind of radiates through screens. That's just the way it is.
Yep.
And I feel like the fact, I feel like the games just enhance that. And like, it's one thing for someone to, well, like me, just sit here and chat about stuff, but to have the ability to make it resonate with people and make it entertaining, but then also have your finger on the pulse of what they want to listen to, whether it's a podcast or a video or whatever it is. Have you always had that kind of knack? Have you always been, close to the finger on the pulse type vibe, or has it been something you've learned along the way?
Definitely not. I definitely think it's something sometimes people have like absolutely undeniable, indelible star power that people are like magnetized to, and that's part of what makes them great creators. Um, I don't think that's the case for me. I think it's just I've landed in with some really good people that have managed to bring out the best in me, and I have with them because I've always worked in a team, and I think it's the team that always shines with the places that I've been. Because I love a yap and I love a bit of banter, and the other people around me have always been the same as well. So it's been really nice to kind of celebrate a gang of friends doing something. But in doing that, I do think it's kind of like the longer you do something, the more that you learn about algorithms, SEO, kind of what works and what people are interested in. At the end of the day, though, if it's something that I want to watch and I would be interested in, then that's what I want to make. I think like because we're all gaming fans, we're all film fans, we're all like horror fans for the stuff that I've done. It's like, well, would I click that? Would I be interested in that? Is it something that I don't know about? Is it something that's gonna grab my attention? And that's kind of where all that kind of thing comes from. And you get taught by people who've done it for years and years and years, who know the tips and tricks for a careful title or an appealing thumbnail, and it all goes hand in hand as you go on. But yeah, I remember specific example is I started at PlayStation Access, and one of the first videos I did was Bug Snacks is actually a horror game. It had a better title than that. You had the disturbing truth of Bug Snacks is what it ended up being called, but it was very much like PlayStation 5 had come out. It was one of the launch titles on PS5, and I was like, this is really silly. I'd like to make a video about Bug Snacks, and I love horror, so let's put the two together because that ending is the most Cronenbergian thing I've seen in years. Um, and I think it came out and got like less than half the normal views that a video would get for PlayStation Access. And they'd been very much like, it's okay, you can give it a go. Like, we'll see how it does. Usually it's not something maybe we would do in this way, but I think with the angle and this, that, and the other, let's see what we can do with it. Let's give it a go. So we gave it a go, and we were all like, oh no. Well, at least we tried. And but then like 3 months later, it had like 200,000 views. Like it like picked up massively secretly in the background for ages. Um, and I think that's just kind of testament to you don't really know what's going to happen, and nobody can be sure of if it's going to work. And sometimes stuff is sleeper hits and gets popular again afterwards, even if it looks like it's not going to work straight away. Like 5 years later, maybe it'll be the most popular thing on the channel. I don't know. I'm yapping. I'm going on here, but it's like it's so indefinable.
Well, I have two parts about that. First one is I agree with you about Bugsnatch, and I will say I'll make the same point about Pokemon. Uh,
Yeah, yeah,
it's a horror game, right? It is. I'm sorry.
yeah. It's
Um,
trapping creatures in little
it
balls, isn't
is.
it?
I
Yeah,
said if you're out in a forest in a random place and you run into a Jigglypuff, it's scary.
yeah,
You know, we can get into that hot take later. The second thing is, how do you then balance? Because obviously, like you say, there's a lot of stuff that doesn't work, and you're never quite sure. You got an idea a little bit, I suppose, but it's kind of on a constant wave of trying to find what doesn't work. How do you find that balance yourself? Do you just think there's so much content? I'll just put stuff out. How do you balance that between that and what you think is quality? Are you trying to rush stuff out? Are you trying to just you know, balance your time more and more and more and think I'll put stuff out more scheduled and hope it works? Or do you,
Mm.
there's a question there somewhere. How do you balance out all that quality versus quantity stuff?
Man, it's a great question because there's no magic sauce that works for anybody or everybody. So for what culture, it was very much let's get as much out as we can on this topic. Let's saturate the idea, explore it from all angles, put it out, and then people will find it and resonate with it. And Axis, it was more of a let's do something and really put up like hours and hours and hours of work into it, refine it as much as possible, and then release it as like a little special treat. And both ways work for different reasons. And for myself, I very much when I've gone solo and I'm still trying to figure everything out, it's been very slow going for actual deep dive stuff because I want it to be special and perfect, which isn't the right way to do things. Sometimes you just got to put stuff out there as well. Again, I think it kind of boils down to what would I like to see and what would overwhelm me as somebody who enjoys watching other people's videos, but like I can't keep up with a channel that posts something every day. It's like, well, would a weekly video be good? Would a monthly video be good? Is it worth it? If it's a monthly video, has it got all of the juicy bits in there that make it worth waiting 4 weeks for? Um, so yeah, annoyingly, I don't have like an actual this is the answer. But it's different strokes for different folks. Absolutely, I prefer a video that's taken its time in the cooker before coming out. But then streaming, it's the other way around, whereas you should be consistent and you should turn up and people should have a place to find you because every time they come to your channel, you're offline or it's different hours and stuff, which I'm really guilty of. I'm quite all over the place. I love being sporadic. I'm like, I'll go right now. It just depends on your audience and your community as to what they like and what they can keep up with as well.
Because I've had questions about that. I mean, I'm obviously nowhere near the level of cachet certain people are, but people have asked me about like schedules and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, I just post what I post when I want to post it. Because in my
Yeah,
opinion, what I do isn't necessarily schedule needing, but also the internet is endless. And there's so much stuff there that at some point someone's going to find it.
yeah.
So if I put out every Monday morning at 8 a.m., great. If I don't, it's not that big of an issue.
Yeah, I like that. I'm a fan of that. It's like I think that the market's so saturated for content creation as a thing as well. And there's a lot of videos that are like for want of a better word, a bit of guff. Like it's just like, oh, here's a little like funny throwaway or like a little, it's not like a big essay or deep dive. And those are great. We love a fun moment. We love something silly. Like absolutely, let's put out the stuff that's just fun to watch and then we scroll on as well. But yeah, just putting it out there and finding the right spot is impossible. Yeah, just put it up when suits you and the people will see when it suits them as well.
And how much are you enjoying that freedom now that you're self-proclaimed freelance and you're doing it on your own back sort of thing? How are you finding that freedom exploring things and doing what you want to do?
Yeah, I feel like I came in a bit negative earlier. So just I've just been in a real soul searching year, and I've found it incredibly difficult, but I've also found a lot of joy in being able to have that time to sit with myself and see what I like and how I like to make it and what works for me. Um, yeah, it's a real. I can't lie and say it's been amazing, perfect, but also it's been the most me I have ever felt and the most reconnected with myself that I've ever felt, being able to pick up projects that I like, make things for me, and do projects and work with people in a way that I kind of turn up and bring myself to, and then we make it work from there. So yeah, it has been really, really amazing. It's also been an exercise in just just doing something as well, you know, just doing something, just going out there and doing it. So it ups and downs, but that's with any job as well. It's very much because there's so much opportunity and freedom. I think you need a lot of discipline to make things like specifically full-time creator work in the way that you see the massive, really popular, successful ones do. Um, and sometimes you got to figure out what that discipline looks like for you as well, because you know, I, for example, I know I'm not an early morning, I'm not going to wake up at 6 a.m., go to the gym, come back, bash out a video, have my breakfast. Like, I'm going to be, I'll start work like 12, 1, but I will work until 9 p.m., 10 p.m., because that's just the schedule that I like to do. um so yeah, there's that for a little example.
And then before we get into the hot and juicy gaming stuff, um, first of all, what are you gaming on a regular day-to-day basis?
What about gaming on a regular day?
Now, what are you playing day to day?
Oh, I'm a single solo narrative girly. So
Which I love,
if
by the way.
yeah, it's like if I'm playing something, it's probably new or something I'm going on the regular with, but then I'll pick up something else afterwards. So I don't really have a game that I return to time and time again. It was Balatro for a while, it was Inscription for a while, it was Call to the Lamb for a while. I like a spooky roguelite moment. But yeah, realistically, I'm going to be going right. What's the new narrative that I haven't played before that's coming out? Because there's so many games right now. It's Oblivion remastered because I put like 200 hours into it and I
I
can't
thought it
stop.
might be.
Yeah, I can't stop. I physically can't stop. But yeah.
Because then my follow up to that was going to be just a quick take on, or your take on the balance between that becoming now a job for you. Because as the job side of it ever taken away your desire to actually play games at any point?
Um, ooh, interesting and good question, because realistically, it's this is the least my job it has ever been. Now that I am a creator, I can kind of assign work time to it and have free time as well. Whereas at What Culture PlayStation Access, I would work all day and then I would come home and go, right, what am I watching? What am I playing? What am I talking about tomorrow? Let's get some hours into it so that I can think about it. So like, I really didn't feel like I ever was not working. And but also it didn't feel like work as well, if that makes sense. It was like my life, it was a lifestyle. And I think with games coverage, it is a lifestyle more so than a job. You have to really tap into, right, I'm going to cover this, I'm going to think about this, I'm going to play this, and this is how it's going to work into my coverage here, because games are so big and there's so many of them. So right now, yeah, it feels the least work, like the least amount of work ever, because it's bit like it's scheduled on my terms, and sometimes if I need to take a day to do a capture or think about something or just mess around for a bit, there's a lot more freedom to be able to do that. um I think the structure worked really well for me at the other places, though. I think that was really good for me. I think it was quite healthy for me to be able to go, right, here's a day of work and here's what I'm going to do in the evening. I work very well to a schedule. When it's me scheduling it, I'm like, who are you telling me what to do, self? But I think with anything, because I started off doing film studies and then doing film journalism, I've always been like very into film and horror films especially. That definitely, it just changed the whole way my brain chemistry worked when watching something. I used to like watching films, now I like watching the making of films as well as films, and it definitely happened that way with games as well. It just became another feather to my enjoyment of the media, rather than, oh, I'm slogging through this one, because it doesn't feel like a game. It feels like I'm looking at how the mechanics work and how crunchy or soft the combat is. It's like to talk about PlayStation Access, like when Rob sees water graphics and he goes absolutely nuts for them. It's like it's that finding microscopic pieces of joy that you otherwise wouldn't see. I remember playing Horizon for the first time and looking at the moss for about 10 minutes whilst I was filming the game, and I was like, years ago this would have not even crossed my mind, but I'm sat here for 10 minutes losing my absolute nut over seeing a little bit of spongy moss, and it's the best day I've had in years. Like, I love it. So like, that's the kind of difference it is. I think it just unlocks more enjoyment for you.
Yeah, I've got the same thing with mirrors. I don't,
Yeah.
it is what it
Yeah.
is. I understand it's a whole, like you got the whole world twice almost, but
Yeah.
it fascinates me. Um, okay, yeah, that's great because I've had a conversation before where it's like the hobby becoming a job is a dangerous balance sometimes because you be careful about how much you actually do love it. Because if you
Yeah.
overdo yourself, you can kind of burst yourself out a little bit, and it becomes a chore rather than a enjoyable extension of what you were doing before. So it's always
Yeah.
fascinating to hear about that.
Like, to be honest, like, if I'm so honest with the way that I've been a bit like, oh, I'm a bit about my job at the moment, is because I was burnt out. I was extremely burnt out when I left Access, not because of Access, not because of anything that I was doing before, but just from the whole way that I treated it, and going at like 120 every day was, I burnt myself out. Like, I really, really burnt myself out, and I've come back to it, and I love it just as much again now because I've given myself the time to actually heal a little bit, which is really good. I find it hard to talk about because I think sometimes I come off like, ooh, negative, negative, which I'm not intending to at all. It's just trying to be real about what my headspace is, and how much I appreciate doing this as well, and wanting to offer something good for the people that do tune in. It has to be something that feels worth people's time as well. Like, I feel very, um what's the word, indebted to my audience and to my community. I feel very much like, they've stuck with me, they've been with me, even if they've just discovered me, you know what I mean. We're all in it together, and I want to make sure that they're getting something wonderful as a result as well, which is an internal pressure thing, which isn't particularly necessary or useful a lot of the time, but also I think it holds you to a higher standard.
But I mean, for you personally, I know that it's looking at you from afar, it's kind of like it's obvious that how much you do love what you do, though.
Yeah.
Because if people don't know this already, you did convert was like a under the stairs cupboard essentially, to
Yeah.
videos, which was quite impressive at the time. So we do
Oh,
appreciate your effort.
yeah.
Sorry
No, I love it.
to
That's the
re-judge
thing.
up those memories, but yeah, it was quite an interesting time.
Yeah, no, I agree. This is the thing. I do love it so much, and I want it to be the best. When you love something, you want the best from it all the time. Um, but yeah, that's probably just the best way I can word it. Really, it's just
That
you
was such
want.
a wild time, wasn't it, by the way?
Yeah,
It's
COVID in it.
insanity, yeah.
Nuts, nuts.
Okay, so let's go on to hot takes and sort of debates. Now, this is your chance to throw out anything game related hot take, and we can see how we go. I've got one for you, but otherwise, your turn.
Oh, let me hear yours first, and I'll
Well, I've
I'll
already
say
mentioned
mine.
one,
Yeah,
which is I joke about it a little bit because it's so ingrained in people's love for it that it's a dangerous topic anyway. But to me, Pokemon needs a horror game.
yeah.
Listeners
Right.
might probably bored by that, but it needs one because we're
Mm,
30 years in. Give me a horror version. It's a horror game already.
yeah.
Do you agree with that?
I absolutely, of course, I agree with that. I feel like they've had Pal World, which infringes a little bit and is the action version of it. But absolutely, but they're not, because Nintendo are a family-based corporation, and Nintendo is their biggest like family IP. They put a horror game in there and scare children off Pikachu for years to come. I don't think anybody's going to be happy.
But see,
uh,
people say that. My only retort to that is, do you count Marvel as a family related thing?
no.
Do you count because at what point does like Detective Pikachu become part of the Pokemon lexicon?
Yeah, okay. I Detective Pikachu, because that was the DS game, wasn't it? Was it DS? It was a little handheld game and had the deep voice Pikachu. Um, but then you look at the film, which is a bit grittier and darker, and yeah, and also the Pokemon were uncanny. uh and I do see your point. Marvel, I would say, is a different beast in itself, because comic books do everything, anything. Like, their span is ridiculous, and they are kind of made as an adult entertainment, as well as for children. um I don't know, I think Pokemon's just a very special one to mess with, which is why it would make the perfect horror game. You look at something like Lavender Town and make your little spooky spin-off. it doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be like a Dead Space of Pokemon. It could just be a little spooky bug snacks moment. It could just have like the vibe. A Luigi's Mansion, I think, would be really good.
Perfect. Thank you. I'm so glad someone mentioned Luigi's Mansion because I was trying to find a good example of it. My thing was always like, what if with Marvel? It's like the kids now are watching What If Marvel because
Yeah,
it's like the next thing on, which is still technically a horror type thing, but it's not
yeah,
gory per se because it's animated.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, my second one was more serious, which was the fact that I don't think microtransactions are actually a bad thing long term if they're placed better. I think they
Ooh,
might actually, if implemented properly, or not properly, fairly, it can extend the life of games moving forward, especially with more digital stuff coming out. I think if there was
yeah,
more games that were free up front that had cheaper, more long-term microtransactions, they might extend the game
yeah,
rather than here's an £80 game, here's a season pass, and here's the DLC you got to buy. Like, I don't
yeah.
really rate that sort of format. But I don't know. I think they're not necessarily a bad thing. I think it can actually help long term.
I hear what you're saying, but I do think like as somebody that would be very sucked in by just, oh, it's just a little chip, it's just a little chip, it's just a little chip. Like it that sneaks up on you. I think it's healthy to be able to go, right, this is the money I'm paying for this. Like for Oblivion for example, I paid my £60. I got my horse armor. Of course I got my horse armor. I paid for the deluxe edition. But if I were to pay £5 for the game and then it's like, okay, and here's your 15 if you want to go to the Shivering Isles, and here's your £10 for the horse armor, and here's your like but then like you boil it down to, oh, and do you want to spend £10 to get like a health potion kit, or do you want to spend £10 to unlock some cosmetics, or do you want, like it feels to me like too much of it gets split up and spread out and sprinkled through, and like I want every piece of it, but also if it's going to come to like £200 because you're trying to collect everything, it feels exploitative, especially to when people might not be switched on to what's happening or where their money's going, or that their money is going. I don't know. That one is a hot take because I've never heard somebody go microtransactions there.
Well, I think it's just me trying to find something positive in them because I think they're here to stay regardless.
Yeah,
And I'm trying to find a way of if it again the term policed better. I think
yeah,
if it had a proper system in place that was held to and accountable, which you're never going to get, frankly. But if that was the case, then it would make it more sustainable and fairer. And I just think if they're going to be here anyway, then why not sort of embrace it if it is fair? If it's,
yeah,
I mean, okay, you can go and buy, you play in your big open world spaces and you go into a tavern and buy a drink. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying if it was I guess a subscription, kind of, maybe. I don't know. I'm trying to find a way of making it work, but that's
yeah,
does it works in my head long term, probably five
yeah.
years, 10 years down the line. So yeah,
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad opinion at all. I think there is a way to, like with anything, there is a way that the service is going to work good. But like something if you look at like Games Pass and PlayStation Plus and all that kind of thing, where it's like you pay a little bit to get access to a lot, I definitely, yeah, that makes sense. And then I think if you're going to have microtransactions in your game, they should like never affect the core game and gameplay. I think it should be extras. It should be cosmetics. It should be your health potion kits. It should be things that are going to make your gameplay easier or more personalized, but won't affect the core loop of what you're doing in a way that makes it a different game to those who aren't paying. Like a Pokemon Pocket Pass where you pay £8 and you get, and then you can unlock more on your track sort of thing. Like tracks, I think they're a great idea of doing it because at least then you see what you're working up towards as well.
I mean, for the record, I do have plenty of bad opinions. Have you got have you got a hot take for us, or should we move on to the next bit?
Oh, my hot take has always been that Evolve deserves way more love. Like Evolve is the game, she's the girly, and without her, we would not have had Dead by Daylight, and asymmetrical horror fighters would not be, asymmetrical horror games where you play as a hunter and have your crowd with you. They would not exist in the way they do without Evolve. Like Evolve was the grandfather of Dead by Daylight, and we gotta pay our respects at the altar. You know what I mean?
Because the other one that you've got, which I'm assuming you still hold true, is you don't really like Fallout, and I am. I can see your face there. Yeah, I've tried every single Fallout. It feels like after I say everyone after three, so
Yeah.
three New Vegas, all them different ones. I just can't do it.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is. I just can't do it.
what I don't like about I like Fallout for other people. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's a bad game objectively, but subjectively, for me, it's too like it doesn't fulfill my fantasy, like living in an irradiated brown wasteland. And then I don't know, I love the TV series because it allowed me to enjoy the world from a different perspective as someone who's not trying to like get into it. And I love the vaults and the vault dwelling and kind of coming from this super happy manufactured lifestyle and then going out to the like wastelands and being like, what the hell has happened here? I love that direct messing with the expectations. And I also, this is a bit of a hot take, Fallout 76's ideas are actually amazing. Like running like West Virginia's cryptid encounter service is so cool. I love that. And I'm glad that it's fixed up from when I first started playing it and was like, this may not be for me. Um but yeah, for Fallout, I don't kind of like how it's very morally grey as well. I want to kind of I want to be the bad guy usually in a game. Like that is also my fantasy, is go in and be evil. So if everybody's a bit evil, I'm like, well, this is no fun. This is no fun. Give me like a Dark Brotherhood, give me an Assassin's Guild, give me the Thieves Guild. You know what I mean? Let me jump in and play the morally reprehensible people and have a bit of fear and status. Whereas in Fallout, loads of people are actually just not great.
Because I had the same debate with myself about Red Dead 2 and Witcher 3,
Yeah. Yeah.
because Red Dead 2 I can objectively see is fabulous,
Mm.
but I just can't do it. It seems
Yeah.
too big and too long. And part of that is a bit of hypocrisy, because I gave myself 10 hours on The Witcher, which I then got past, and then this is amazing. But I don't allow the same time for Red Dead 2. But I do understand the whole it's objectively great. I just can't do it phase. And that's the same with me with Fallout. So I do understand that completely.
Yeah, for sure. I think my other hot take, which comes out occasionally, I got really flamed last time I said this, which was years ago, that I didn't like Sekiro. Um, but yeah, I put it. I knew what I was doing because I put it on a video that was like, "What's the worst game of the year?" and I put Sekiro because it really popped me. I was like, "Hee hee." But again, that is a totally subjective opinion. It's game of the year for so many people, and like game of their life for many more. And it's wonderfully made. From Software know how to make a game, and a Souls like especially gorgeous. But yeah, just Dark Souls and Sekiro and kind of Demon Souls and all those. I love them theoretically, but playing something where I'm just beating my head against difficulty for hours on end, it's just not what I play games for. Like I like a challenge. I like a challenge. I don't like an impossible feat. Um, unless it's Hollow Knight, and then I eat all of my words and do that one. So
Yeah, we've all got those games we love because they hurt us too much.
yeah.
We're going to coaches' questions then. So this is the chance for me to ask three, four, or five, depending on time. My name for questions on my page. The guests in front of me and get their reaction. Now, we did have one come in which I knew you'd love, which was from that disabled gamer girl, which is her username, by the way. Just want to get that out there straight away before people get a bit thick. She is lovely. I had her on the podcast about a month ago. She is amazing. She's asked, obviously you're a massive horror fan and you love your horror and everything about it, but has a game ever been too scary for you?
Ooh, well, originally Dead Space was too scary for me when I was a teenager. I watched my dad play it instead of me playing it, which was a great way. Every time I tried to play it, I was like, it's too much. So Dead Space was, but I've returned to it since because it is part of that formative childhood, like or teenage years, playing games. Returning to the remake was so special because I was like, I'm brave enough now to play it and to do it properly. So I
I'm
think
a grown up. I can do it.
yeah, a treat for me. But otherwise, nothing has frightened me to the point of not being able to play it in my years of really covering horror games. Maybe also Slenderman, the 8 pages. When I was younger, Slenderman really, really scared me, and we played it at a friend's house, and I hid behind their chair whilst they were doing it because I couldn't. I hate him. I really hate him. He really frightens me. And that one I played like recently, like as in the past couple of years, was the first time I really actually played it, and it did. I was like, I actually want to put this down. I don't want to play this anymore. So that's probably the true answer. But I did work through it. I did work through it. So it's stupid because there's so many like really gory, nasty body horror games and like psychological trauma ones, or like things about really horrible um subject matters, and I'm like, yeah, delicious, more. But Slender Man, like a weird man with no face, horrid, don't like.
Before I get into question two, just quickly talk about that, because a love for horror is quite a not unique, but you need to have a certain approach, I think, to certain horror movies. So, like, what is it about horror you love? Is it the suspense? Is it the gore? Is it the just outrageousness of it all? What is it about it you love?
Everything. This is. I'm gonna have to try and like edit myself here because I could go on for hours about all the different things that I love about horror. But I think as like a someone who has canonically struggled with their mental health, horror has always been a beautiful reflection of not everything is always okay, and it doesn't have to be perfect and shiny. And actually, sometimes stuff's bad, and we explore that for an hour and a half if we're watching a film. Also, you know, especially within that, being an anxious person as well, watching something in a horror game, a horror film, everything's going to go wrong. Everything that can go wrong will go wrong, and it will go wrong in the worst way possible. It's kind of validating. It feels like, okay, actually being worried about this, like it's like watching Final Destination, where she's like, oh, maybe this could happen. This billboard could fall on my head and squash me. It's like, oh my god, I worry about all those things, and I'm actually right to, like, I maybe can predict what's going to happen here, which is really fun. I just Horror has always been a grounds for experimentation, for being silly as well as scary. It's just this place where people can go really wild with whatever vices they have, whatever fears they have, whatever concerns they have, and make something nasty that people resonate with. And like, fear is the most primal emotion that all of us have, this instinct that's in us. Like I feel like horror is the human condition. Like, it's what we're either going up against or we're succumbing to. And exploring that in different formats it's just so interesting. And also, like, I just love monsters. I love seeing what monsters people make from what they're trying to tell a story about, like the Babadook being an allegory for grief, and It Follows being an allegory for sex. Sorry, I got nervous about saying it and then said it 3 times. Ew, prude. But yeah, or like looking at Resident Evil, where it's like body horror and people have like turned into these big pulsating meaty creatures. Or it's about zombies, which is sometimes capitalism, sometimes aging, sometimes disease. It's just all like seeing how somebody represents an actual thing that's terrible in the real world. Just really interesting, fascinating.
And I think for me as well, to sort of extend your point a bit more, is for me personally,
Mm,
is like you think of like the Substance or just these different random movies that there's such a span of genre all
yeah.
encapsulated in horror that you can sort of play out. So I love the way, like you said about experimentation, it can really touch base with all these different genres and make them feel a little bit different. I really appreciate that.
Mm,
I think whether it's just like a really eerie vibe or it's a proper slasher,
yeah.
anywhere in the mix of those, you can find something fun, and I really
Yeah.
appreciate that.
I
So,
think. Oh, sorry. Yeah,
no, no, you go, you go.
I was just gonna say, I think horror has always been something that, like, you have a horror game obviously and you have a horror film, but horror is always like a lens to look at stuff with as well. Like, you can look at something and find the horror in it, like Pokemon, like Bug Snacks, like watching something really wholesome, you know, like Echo the Dolphin when you have that really evil level, or like Sonic when he's in the underwater levels. Horror is then a lens that you're looking at those levels through and seeing the nastiness of it, whereas actually on the surface maybe it doesn't seem that scary. So it's just, yeah, it's just something that works across the board. It's just something that's part of everything, and that's really nice to dig into, like you say as well.
Hmm. Okay, so question two then is what's a terrible game you always defend?
I was going to say Evolve then, but it's not a terrible game. So
Is it terrible? I don't know.
no. People like, just people always are rude about it, and they don't need to be. It was good. We like Evolve. Also, I didn't play it all the way through. I will tell my truth here, but I didn't hate Colonial Marines. It was just an aliens game, you know. It's just a bit of Xenomorph. It might not. It's definitely not the best game, but we can have fun. We can enjoy an IP. That's okay.
It's only terrible if you allow it to be.
Yeah.
Um, which game is better the second time around?
Oh man, which game is better the second time around? As somebody who plays games once a lot, this one I'm trying to think about things that I have gone back and done again. Um, I'm gonna have to bring up Hollow Knight again because there's so much to it and so many things to find and explore and to do again and to practice and to be better at. But I think the easy answer for me would be like Until Dawn and the Dark Pictures Anthology, because you know the main story and then you can like play a game of basically just trying to kill everyone the next time you do it, which is the best time to do it.
We had this debate on a podcast not so long ago about time versus value because
Mm,
like games now feel like there's more and more coming out that are shorter, but games that are so long,
mm,
the developers are like, well, to make the value of this game, it needs to be long and expansive. But then the
mm,
problem with that is you then end up with like an Assassin's Creed, which is the same thing 50 times.
yeah.
Whereas actually, you look at a Resident Evil or a Celeste or whatever it is, a shorter game that you can play in 5, 6, 10 hours
Mm,
and replay it. that in itself is valuable. So I always find that like a debate where what is value to a gamer? Because if I'm forking out £80 or £100 even probably for GTA 6, where's the replay value? Like where am I getting that from?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
No,
important.
I agree. I definitely agree. I think something like Resident Evil where you get a new mode or a new weapon or like things you can go through again and play it differently and find things. I'd much rather play something where not everything is on the surface the first time and then you can dig into it the second time and really get into the meat of it than any other way of doing it, for sure. Yeah, I agree.
We're in an era of digital and it's more prevalent than ever. What was the last game you bought solely off of box art?
Ooh, hold on. Let me get my PlayStation app up because I had a period where I would just get things from the PlayStation. So if it was a horror game on sale, I would just buy it and be like, right, okay, it's £2. I'll give it a go because it looks cool. So I think Rewind or Die was the last one, but it wasn't solely a box art because I knew it was a puppet combo game. So it would have to be maybe Poppy Playtime because I had heard a bit about it though as well. So
Because it's
but
that aging thing, isn't it? We're losing where because you have not got these physical stores more and more, or less and
yeah,
less. You haven't got that kiddie going into a store. Oh, that looks cool. That's got cool color on it.
yeah,
So I'm
that
always
definitely used to be something I would do for
yeah.
sure. Hold on, I've got to get far enough back to be able to see the all of the me little ones. I don't think I've done it for a while. I think there's one that I bought that I never played, which was it's on my list of things to play, but I bought it because it looked cool. Um, which was I can't remember. I actually can't remember what it's called, but it's like a little pixel art game that is like Kami or something like that. Like a Japanese style pixel art game, which was supposed to be spooky. So I bought that, which also reminds me, Lamentum, which I loved. I bought that because it was a pixel art horror game and it was on sale, and I thought, oh, I'll give that a go. And I love Lamentum, and it's so underrated. And if you like Resident Evil and pixel art, it's the perfect mix of both of those, but in like a Lovecraftian manner setting. Really good. Alone in the Dark vibes for sure.
That's currently on. Hang on, my angle's right. That shelf there.
Yeah, you
But
you have it.
yeah, it's up. Yeah,
Yes.
I've got the well, the PS1 version and PS2 version. I don't know why. But yeah, it's my next because that shelf there's my next playing shelf. I can't get the
Yeah.
angle up there. So yeah, I'm just trying to go through those. And also that one there, I think is Deadly Premonition.
Oh yes. Oh my
Yeah,
god,
I'm
yeah.
kind of more on a bit of a horror kick. So I'm going back to playing more of those.
Yeah.
Because that's why I asked the question. Because like a lot of the stuff I have behind me, I'm getting because I know about it probably, but
Mhm.
it's that old feeling of like it's tangible. I can go and get it. I can see the
Mhm.
colors of the box. I just like that question. Um,
Oh, yeah, I did it with my PS2 and PS1 collection. The last one I bought was Dracula Resurrected because I found it in a game
oh,
shop and I hadn't played it. And it's actually the sequel to another game. Hold on, I have it here. Let's try and not pull my whole setup over. Dracula Resurrection. That was what I bought last
nice.
because it's got that guy that's like on the front.
No, very good. What is, I've got a couple more. What is one thing that gaming is missing?
Deodorant? Uh, I. Ooh.
I mean, it might not be because there's so much stuff now. It might not be missing anything. But from your perspective, is there anything gaming is missing?
That's a really good question. I want to give you a good answer, but I don't think I have something off the top of my head because I feel very fulfilled by many horror games and decisions and stuff. I think what the one thing that I would say that gaming is missing in the era of the digital age is the it place to be for like a gaming convention. Like E3 being gone is a bit of a hole, and then so many things have sprung up around it that it's like there's lots of different things that you can do and go to, and events you can go to, and conventions you can see, but like actually just having one main hub where you can go and meet people who have similar interests and see lots of games that you're excited about. Yeah, I would love to see actually just be in one place and it be like the it place to go. And there's lots of options that people could say are that, but with the death of E3, it's less a thing.
Saturation, I suppose, is a problem.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you mentioned it earlier, the wealth of choice we have.
Mm.
I'm not going to rant about it, but it's the whole thing about you. For me, the ability to miss is missing
Yeah.
because you don't have that like, oh, I bought one game a month this year, so I played that one game all month,
Yeah.
and then I had to wait until the next month to get the next one. It's just there isn't that patience anymore. I don't think that for
Mm.
me is missing.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so what is one thing in content or in gaming you're yet to do, but you plan to do?
Oh, I like my plan. One of my bucket list things is be a voice in a video game. 100%. That's like bucket list. I'm gonna voice a character in a video game. That's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. I'm gonna make it happen. But outside of more in content creation realms, um goodness, I would love to be able to. I'd see mine. I have very like there's lots of stuff that I can create and would love to create, but I think sometimes with content creation you can kind of mark your success on the sort of things you get invited to do as well, which isn't necessarily a healthy way of looking at it. But like presenting an award at a game show post leaving my roles with What Culture and Access, I'd love to be able to do something like that and be like, right, okay, I'm here as a representative of me and the platforms I use, and celebrate other people with it. I'd love to be able to do that. Obviously I'm also part of the Horror Game Awards, so I do get to do that from our perspective, but it's just nice to be invited by other people as well. um and yeah, like I think hosting some sort of show, or as a presenter, because that is my main role and job as a presenter, like presenting a showcase or a live show, or being able to do that, like being part of the Game Awards or Summer Game Fest or something like that. Seeing Lucy James do it recently, I was so like proud of her. Sounds patronizing, but I was really proud to see her on there. I was like, that's so cool. That's really cool. And you've worked so hard and you've done so much cool stuff. And you're a great person to like represent gaming and women in games as well. I was like, this is sick. So I was really, really pleased for her. And I was like, you know what? I'd love to do that. I'd love to like feel that way about myself doing it as well. So yeah, that's kind of I just being a better, bigger representative is always the thing. But just honestly, I think living at large with a nice community is always the end goal, and I'm doing that right now, and it's wonderful. And like the people who watch me and support me and chat with me are all amazing. I love them and I love being a part of it, and I always have to pinch myself about it. So if I were to stop doing any creation right now, I would definitely be happy with where it's gone and what I've done. But there's always the possibility of more.
I'm glad you said that because that's one thing I was going to point out was I love the question because people always have goals and targets and they've got aspirations and everything. But it is important to take stock sometimes and appreciate what you have accomplished and what you are
Mm.
accomplishing at the time. Because
Yeah.
you've done a lot of stuff and you've been a really big advocate for certain things, and you've set a standard for certain things, and we can all aim for, and you've achieved so much. So to diminish is the wrong word, but to look past that and not accept that first would have been a shame. So it's
Mm.
nice to know that you've gone. I've actually done I've done quite a lot here. I've achieved a lot,
Yeah.
and I can achieve more because of it. So I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad you took that stance because if you didn't do that, I was going to do it for you. Um,
Yeah, it's just I never ever want to seem ungrateful. It's never that I'm ungrateful. It's just I always expect the most of myself, and I always want to offer the most, and I always want to um represent the best, be the best, like of everything. It's a terrible competitive streak, I think, actually. But it's yeah, that's what it's born from, really, is just wanting to do the best, be the best, be the best representative, in a nice way, as much as a obviously there's some self-serving stuff there as well, but in a nice way for the community of the
yeah.
gaming and everything too.
Hmm. And then last one of my coach's questions then. Open as they all are to interpretation, but how has gaming helped you?
Man, I think it's almost impossible to define, because it was always been a hobby. It's always been something that I do for fun or have enjoyed, or like me and my dad used to, like, we'll still do, bond over it and play things together. And then explicitly going from being like a film journalist and a writer about film to being able to write about games, because it's just something I know I'm interested in. I didn't even think about it as a career originally. I was like, it's going to be films, it's going to be film reviews, it's going to be entertainment media all the way, but like specifically this side of it. And then I was like, wait, hang on, I love this. And it was at What Culture. I was like, and I get to hang out with all of these cool people who know all the jokes that I'm making as well. And like, just, I don't know. I think it's really, really helped me find my people and my place. I've never felt more accepted and like I'm having the best time ever than when I talk to gamers, horror gamers especially, obviously, but like gaming people, they're just a special, lovely breed of person that I have found a lot of kinship with, and I'm very, very grateful for it. As somebody who's sometimes felt like I haven't known what or where my place is, or like I don't fit in exactly, um, in a way that feels natural to me. The only time I've really kind of challenged that has been like, no, all of these gaming friends that I'm hanging out with are the best ever. So I think it's more, not even more. I think that's definitely a huge part of it, as well as then being able to make a career out of it.
No, because one thing, I was going to say this about you anyway, but it's like when we look at these people that are on these websites or on these blog pages and TikTok pages and Instagram and everything, and you often always get presented this like facade is a strong word, but it's their character they want you to see.
Mm,
They don't see the behind the scenes of like the mental health struggles or the home life struggles, whatever it is. They don't always show those. And I feel like with certain people, yourself included, you understand that like there's a strength there that's come from either a struggle or something you've learned. And so we can appreciate that. And like, okay, yeah, you not come out and said, oh, I didn't have this back then or I struggled with that back then. But we know because you're real about it, but it's come from somewhere, that strength. So I've always appreciated that about the likes of yourself. Josh is another one. I had Rachel on a few episodes ago. She was lovely. She's another one.
yeah.
Because we see the real person behind the veil almost, it makes it better for everyone to see. So, one, thank you for being you. And two, it's good to see that in someone that's got this big platform. Because if they're that height and this echelon of places and people that, we can see and whatever, it's attainable for everybody else and we can appreciate it more. So, at the risk of glazing too much, congrats and thank you. Is what it is. You know what I mean?
No,
So, you
I
know.
appreciate that, and I get it. I always I wouldn't feel, I wouldn't feel authentic if I wasn't being authentic, if like, which sounds reductive, but it's true. I just don't think I could be anyone other than myself. I would go insane. So
Mm.
that's just part of it. And I also love seeing people that are like, here's the good stuff, here's the bad stuff, but also, here's as a result of the bad stuff, here's the good things. It's just all part of it. It's all part of it. It's all part of being human. And again, as a horror fan, it's a negative is always a part of it, like, and not in necessarily a bad way. It's in what you glean from it, what you learn from it, how you grow from it, how you get stronger, how you become the final girl of your own life. You know what I mean? Like, that's the goal.
And let's do that in a continue the positive on final section of creator spotlight. So in this section, it's your chance to shout out either creators you really enjoy or just give us an idea of the type of content you enjoy and why you enjoy it.
Yeah, so I love a deep dive, but I also am very much, I'm a scroller, I'm a doom scroller at the moment, so I love a little short form. Obviously, What Culture and PlayStation Access are where I would shout out first. Josh Brown, the best to ever do it. Scott Telford, the whole gaming team, but I know those two work their butts off and do some really wonderful, amazing things. Jules, also from my What Culture days at Future Games Show, and Amy's just joined. There's they're doing wonderful hard work over there and really just having a great time doing it, which I love to see as well. So I do love my big UK companies. I do, because that's the kind of culture I've been embroiled in. Access as well. But then for smaller creators, there's loads of like women that I just love seeing just be silly and have fun. So people like Marignetic and Emma Lishton, and Geeky Cassie is just the funniest person ever. Like, she's so funny and she's friends with everyone and doing great work. Yeah, I love seeing whatever she's up to, because it's always done with this incredible sense of humor. um and then outside of kind of, those are all kind of my gaming girlies and people, and then outside of that, kind of for horror film stuff, obviously Dead Meat, we love Dead Meat. because it's the biggest one going for a reason. They've done really well for themselves. And then on from those, Possessed by Horror, Spooky Astronauts, people who are like really digging into films and what it means to them and what they like. And yeah, again, just being very entertaining and wonderful about it. Also Found Flicks, I love his ending explains stuff as well. And then outside of horror and like films and games, Sylvanian drama, I just love that person that makes the Sylvanian families argue with each other to pop tunes. Long live Sylvanian drama. Yeah, but that's probably my overview of faves. Like, but there's so many more. There's literally so many more, and so many people doing wonderful, cool stuff. And I definitely have missed people. So yeah, just that's just a taster.
And then if you had to really quickly just as a, you mentioned people that do different things and different topics and genres and whatever, but is there a through line thread that they've got a commonality between them that makes them watchable to you?
I think that again that they just feel very real. They're just themselves. There's no like airs about it. And I am not a fan feels harsh, but like I'm not I feel less invested when it's really hyperbole reactions that feel put on for camera. Like there was the YouTube era of Screaming Man, which really funny, has bought some amazing memes and is like fun, good content, and it's people doing, you know, what they want to do at a really cool level. I absolutely am not knocking it at all. But to me, it was a little, like it was a bit, I didn't quite resonate with it in the same way as I do the other people that I watch now and that I enjoy now, who are a bit more low key, but yeah, still doing all the interesting talking and breaking down and being themselves as well. And of course, I have to mention buddy games. Oh my god, I just buddy games come as like an automatic to me. I feel like we come as a pairing because that's Rosie from PlayStation Access, but it's her own channel with Nico and Liam, and they do retro couch co-op playthroughs on stream, and they are literally my ultimate faves. I love them so much. They're so funny and do really great stuff. And they're very themselves. There's no apologies for being who they are and being excited about stuff, but also just being real as well. So they would be like my Ash's top pick.
Authenticity is always my main word, because
Yeah.
if someone's, I hate overproduced content. Like
Yeah.
if it feels like you said the about the screaming shouty stuff, I don't want it.
Mm,
I don't need that. It's part of my age probably, but I don't need that overtly trying too hard to be entertaining vibe.
yeah.
It's like you enjoy and I'll enjoy you enjoying it.
Yeah, 100%. I am also like, I love a person in the room telling me something vibe, which is probably why I'm not so much of the like, as somebody who screams and gets excited, obviously I'm being hypocritical. I can hear myself, don't worry. But yeah, I'm much more of as a watcher, I'm very much more of a fan of having somebody in the room talking to me, yapping to me, telling me about what they like, being excited about it. Like I love just having someone on the TV whilst I clean up and do bits and pieces.
We're called Champion the Gamer here, and it's my favorite part because why should someone be following you?
Oh man, they probably shouldn't. Is the I love a moan. No, man, I think if someone should be following me, if I put on my Ash the content creator hat, it's if you like horror, if you love horror, I love talking about it, and I love talking to people about horror and horror games, horror films, all that sort of stuff. So I think that's probably my through line is if you want like a down to earth chat and someone who really loves and cares about it and wants to discuss all the minutiae of it, then that's probably me. I do think that I've got a lot more to build on before I feel totally like you should follow me. But that's why you should get in now, ground level. We're going, the only way is up, baby. And I love streaming. Streaming is, I feel like I've locked in. It's just I always want to get back to YouTube and make more videos. So that's the plan. That is always the plan. That is always the goal. It's just finding out the right way that works for me in this midst of just everything life going on. But yeah, if you like horror games, then I'm here.
It's the hardest question to answer, right? Because we
Yeah,
don't like selling ourselves.
yeah,
But obviously, I have a few things that I can fill in the void if need be. But do you feel comfy where you are now? Like, as in both as a gamer, I suppose, and in yourself? Because it is difficult to reach that point for some people. Do you feel comfortable in yourself now?
No, Jesus, no. But there's always room to find that. I feel that like I feel much more comfortable in myself, and this is definitely an age thing as well. I feel so much more comfortable in myself than when I started at a ripe. Well, I started before professionally in the industry 22, but I was writing stuff before then and working on our student magazine, so like 19, I guess. So it's been 10 years of me being in this kind of industry of journalism, entertainment media. My God, it's been 10 years. Jesus. It's been 10 years of me doing this. And I've definitely picked up a few or revealed a few like mental health things that I have learned not to master, but to work with. Um, and I'm still figuring myself out, and there's still time to do that as well. And I feel that I think that's probably the best way to describe it. I might not be totally comfortable and happy in myself, but I feel very comfortable in figuring that out and having the time to do so. And that's very freeing. It's like, okay, what's next? Where are we going? Who is Ash? Let's find out. And that's okay and that's good. It doesn't have to be this is who I am, my rule, if that makes sense.
But you can admit you're all a little bit.
Well, it depends. Maybe when I'm feeling a bit manic, I'm the best person in the world. But no, I think you know what doing this is probably good because having to talk positively about yourself. Let's make it sound like a chore, but like having to celebrate the things you've done is important because it's very easy to write it all off. And yeah, I have done some really cool stuff, and I've worked very hard to do them. And to diminish that would to be diminish the work that I've put in. So yeah, maybe a little bit, maybe a little bit.
Well, I know from my point of view, there's a few others, but like yourself, make stuff feel endearing, and it feels like it's stuff we can achieve or we can look at, aiming for, and there's a joy there when you talk about what you love and what you do and what you're trying to accomplish. There's a joy there about it, and that's really helpful for viewers. And I've always appreciated the fact that you've always made it seem like what you're doing is because it's not a chore. From my point of view, I've always understood it's a job what you do, but at the
Mm,
same time, when you're portraying this person in front of the camera, like it's just you.
yeah.
Like there's times where people can put up a video and it's like, oh, I understand what you're trying to accomplish there, but like, is that the person I'm looking at, or are you just doing it because you're on a script?
Yeah.
Even when you're doing the scripted stuff, it's not because I know you've done it with
Mm.
love or with care. So it's not an easy thing to do that, but I do always appreciate the fact you do come across that way. So if you're not doing that, then we'll play because it's a
No,
you're pregnant,
I
but it is important to view that as that.
I think it's born from I always want to write my own stuff for the most part as well. Like I've got a lot of thoughts and feelings, and I'll put them all down and then read them out. Which and there's lots of places where I've read other people's thoughts and feelings as well. But you got to connect with it first. I think it's got to be something you care about and want to talk about and want to champion to be able to do so effectively. And like I said before, I do think this kind of job, it's not a job, it is a lifestyle. It is all encompassing, whether good or bad, it just is the way that it is. It is a lifestyle. And I like it and I wouldn't want it any different. So there's that as well.
No, fair play to you, and keep pushing on. Where can everyone find you?
So if my website is www.ashmillman.co.uk, which has everything on it, has all my socials and bits and pieces. And if you want to learn a bit more about me and what I do and kind of my position in the industry, then that's all on there. Otherwise, I'm Ash Millman on everything. On Instagram, I have an extra N on the end because somebody took my name. I'm so sad. How dare they have the same name as me? But everywhere else, it's just Ash Millman, like Milkman, but with an L instead of a K.
Well, that doesn't need a distinction, but it's fine. Um, again, I'm not going to beat a dead horse, but I would recommend anyone that doesn't know who you are by some miracle to go and check out your content somewhere because it's inspiring in many cases, in all cases, but it's also just entertaining, full stop. So if someone doesn't know who you are, again, by some miracle, please go check Ash out. Before we end though, is there anything you want to finish with?
Just thank you for having me in it, and thank you for this chat. I feel like I've had a therapy session in it. It's been nice to be able to talk realistically about everything, and also look at the positive side as well. I don't know. I think I'm gonna like have lie down and be like, oh my god, did I reveal too much? Was I this kind of way about it? But also, it's really nice to have a your platform is really lovely for having these honest, open chats and kind of exploring things. And you've had really interesting questions, and I love that you're a big champion of people and celebrating yourself and all that sort of stuff as well. So thank you so much as well.
No, I appreciate that because my running joke on this thing is like I'm a very unsociable person generally, out and about. So getting my chance to chat one to one like this is lovely because that person in front of me can chat for hours if they want to, and I can just sit and listen, and so it's great. And I've had a lot of like it's therapy. It's like a relaxing. Like, so if I'm accomplished something, great, I can live with that. But this has been amazing. I can't thank you enough. I hope that anyone listening to this again, one, checks you out, and two, has learned something because there's a lot there to unpack, and I hope it's been helpful for people. You've been episode 59, which in itself is insanity. And I'll catch
Well done.
everybody. 59, yeah.
Well
It's
done.
yeah. I mean, I won't bore you. It's been literally 2 months.
Oh my goodness. He's
Yeah.
been chatting them out. That's so
We're going to slow
good.
down now slightly. It'll be once a week now, but yeah, no, it's been absolutely insane. I started off with 4 or 5. Thought I'd get a little library out there and see how we go, and then we'll get a schedule after that, once a week, once a month, Monday to Friday, next 4 weeks. I was like, wow.
This is that's how great stuff is born, and how you're doing what you love and want to do, and other people can tap in and be like, yeah, cool. So
Or I'm working
congratulations.
so hard, just force it out there that they can't do anything but listen to it. So there is
Everything.
that as well. But thank you, Ash. I'll let you go. You've been episode 59. I'll catch everybody on the next one.